So what's this week's video? Well, we're continuing exactly where we left off last week, specifically with the awesome story of Superman Wears Thy Sting. And if you want to know exactly what happened in the first one, feel free to check out that video right here, top right corner. I'm sure you'll be able to find that bad boy. So give it a shot and let's continue exactly where we left off with this specific story of Superman. The story of Superman fighting death. So following exactly where we left off last time, we continue with Superman attempting to do all sorts of things in order to prove his theory right, prove that hope really is the top dog in existence. And he saves the planet, he does a variety of things before winding up with a woman on some unknown street in the middle of nowhere who seems to be struggling with something. And Superman approaches her and asks her if he can help. The woman was pregnant, and sure enough, she was having her child. And so Superman, doing what Superman does, steps up, and he delivers the child. "Wow," he says, looking at the child. Something so impressionable, something so awesome, something so hopeful. It reinvigorated him and his purpose. So, Superman later on returns to Lois, and he discusses with her what happened. Lois wonders if this helped him get over this whole death problem that he was having, but Superman says how could it not? That baby's face totally refuted everything death had claimed to him. But just as Superman says that, the table they're sitting at expands, and he is assaulted by the indecipherable images that crash through his mind. Superman finds himself in a place of non-time, non-space, a place between eternity and oblivion. The Death God laughs at the fact that he thinks that such new life, such as this child being born, will change anything whenever it comes to his philosophies in existence. Everyone dies at some point. But what happens when there is no life? When the universe runs out of hope? Because when hope dies, so does Superman. The Death God then throws Superman into a desolate wasteland devoid of life. At first he assumes he was thrown across creation itself, but then he realizes that in all reality he was sent across time, most specifically to the end of the Earth, the last night that planet Earth has in existence. And it's here Superman remembers how full of life the planet was before the sun changed to a red giant which destroys the Earth entirely. Even his name was forgotten in the centuries that had blurred by. Superman tries to help them again and again and again, but no matter how many times he tried to save them, no matter how many times he tried to save this new place he called his home, he can't. Clearly he can't. He can't anymore. No one's left. All he could do now is die. And so Superman lies there, waiting to die as the red sun continuously expands until it consumes planet Earth. And as the world meets its oblivion, Superman wonders, what was this all for? And so the Death God appears once more and tells him it's about time he accepted the futility, the truth and horror of death, but he's not ready yet. In order to fully understand death itself, he needs to comprehend a larger perspective as his idea of it is too small. And so the Death God keeps Superman alive so he can show him absolute death on a cosmic scale. And so the Death God flings Superman across the void. And Superman wonders, why does this Death God choose me? It's then that Superman realizes it's not just Earth that's dying now, but the entire universe. Or maybe even the entire multiverse. Across all the cosmos, entropy occurs as all things, all matter is in creation is dissolving or disintegrating away. The destruction of one world was bad, but this, all of creation falling, an absolute nightmare, especially to Superman. And as everything slowly but surely fades to black, only Superman and death itself remains. It's too much to bear, even for Superman. And now in the darkness, what is there even left for Superman to do? And in the darkness, amongst the last few stars in existence, there's one last ship traveling as reality continues to fade into nothingness. And so Superman tries to save them, but he can't maintain them in their life support systems. So he watches all the life support systems blink out one by one until there's nothing left in all of creation but Superman and death. The only thing left besides them was no longer sentient. It was a black hole. And Superman knew if he entered it, he would meet his friend Death. And so, Superman enters. In the final black hole of existence, death comes for all things. As the black hole collapses, Superman is sent spiraling into its depths, but he sees something he didn't expect. The Death God didn't have a face of triumph on. Rather, it had one of sadness. Maybe even regret. Then Superman drifts through a place of no time or all time, wandering through his life until he finds Lois. He flies so fast, the past and the future all merge into one moment that he lives through simultaneously. Superman comes to realize that life has good and evil things in it, but people are traditionally good, and evil isn't a disease, more so than a wound that needs to be healed. But nothing in existence would stop him from being with Lois, especially if he had to die again. Because for Superman, Lois is always there for him. From his first breath until the end of the world. Even at the end of the universe, Lois reaches out to Superman and they become one, a concept Death doesn't entirely understand. Superman and Lois's love is the doorway into a place that transcends the concepts of life and death and even Krypton or even beyond all creation. Believing in something that makes the dream we live in and make it happen. And so they use their love, the doorway, to believe that they are free. And Superman rises up from his future death and moves himself across the quantum sea of the barriers of time, space, memory, and even emotions to go home to the life and wife that he loves. While on this little time stream traveling journey, Death appears once more, informing Superman that he can't cheat Death. Death says that there are some barriers that no being in existence can pass through, referring to itself. So now on his way home, he takes a quick detour and one-shots Death along the way. Superman wonders if he had ever really left this place, or if this event had ever really happened, and the Death God reappears once more, informing him that he isn't some manifestation of Superman's guilt or fears. The Death God continues on, claiming every single being in existence has a place where the mind and the body intersect, where that which hides in our dreams manifests. This is the world that Superman and Death walk together, and the story that they had shared. Although Superman is too tired, he says he will fight if necessary. However, Death informs him that the war is over, and this will be his last time approaching Superman. You see, the Death God was out to prove that Death is the master of all living beings, but during this event, as they had reached the end of existence earlier, Death became aware of the very emptiness in its own soul. Death realizes that it sought answers to life just like anyone else in creation, and it needed a reason to continue. Although it didn't have a reason to exist before, it does now thanks to Superman. Superman showed the embodiment of death the meaning and concepts outside of itself as equatable to death or even superior. Superman showed death the meaning of hope, something it has value in now. Superman proved himself the embodiment of hope to the people of existence, so much so that Superman even convinced death, the polar opposite to hope, to give in to hope and to trust in Superman. Death then widens its perspective and goes off into the all, claiming that Superman had freed him. And so Death leaves with that thought. But before Superman can even react, he finds himself at home with no shirt on, weirdly enough. Suddenly Lois appears and asks him what he's doing up at this hour. Did he have another nightmare? And Superman tells her it was in fact a wonderful dream, as he wanders back into the bedroom with his wife with a big ol' smooch on his face, in classic Superman fashion. So, what'd you guys think of this awesome story? Be sure to thank the homie Fizzes My Jace in the comments down low, because this is the guy who actually requested this bad boy and sponsored it. And if you like content just like this, or you want to see me cover something, hey, feel free to consider a sponsorship, man. It's a super easy Cash App, and we'll immediately make that bad boy happen. So, if you want to be as cool as Fizzes My Jace, or maybe you want to be as cool as the Theromax Corps members on the channel, because keep in mind, those are the homies who support my content regardless, I'd really appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing all of you guys down there. This story was a really interesting take on the concept of Superman, and this is definitely one of the go-to stories that everyone uses whenever it talks about the overarching story of Superman and its importance within like the cosmic side of things inside of DC. It's just not like another multiversal archetype like other people or anything along those lines. And this is also what a lot of people use to reference hope and hope concepts being incredibly powerful. but this is more of like a narrative hope rather than like an emotional hope, I guess, more so than anything. Sorry to all you Blue Lantern fans out there, but it was a really unique story, a really unique interpretation on death, and it makes me kind of wonder where this death god went afterwards, right? Because this is clearly not like Death from the Dreaming or anything along those lines, but an incredibly awesome story. Heavily recommend you check it out. I probably give it a solid 7.5 to 8 out of 10. Keep in mind, on my scale, that is considered good to great, and I traditionally land most stories around 5, so that should give you an idea of where we're at. So if you enjoyed this entire video, man, like and subscribe, as I said earlier, and there's more content on the way, Lanterns. We'll see you next time. Later.
Aftermath, you'll join my list of dead after I tear you in half. And I laughed at the thought of them controlling me. I'm the ultimate dragon that spawned everything. I resist and defy.